Hey everyone, this is Bill Quinn with GameFace Nation's first studio workshop on the magnetization of models. During this two-part training video, I will show you how to maximize the number of variations you can get from one infantry model kit with the use of neodymium magnets. For this tutorial, I'm going to be building a Grey Knight Strike Squad, but the principles and techniques I use on these can be carried to pretty much any infantry model. For other uniquely sized models, it's just a matter of adjusting the size of the magnets to meet your needs. To start out, we should cover why we magnetize our army. After all, we're going to put a lot of time and a little bit of extra money to making a magnetized unit. Magnets cost money, green stuff costs money, and bits cost money. So, is it really worth the extra expense? Well, let's look at the reasons why you would magnetize. First, it makes an army flexible when you're headed down to the local game store for a random game. You can customize to the army you end up facing on the spot without the need of a ton of extra models. As you can see, my strike squad can easily go from a high initiative loadout to a variant that emphasizes maximizing the number of attacks in melee. Of course, you can also choose to go with either variant as an interceptor squad and dance around the battlefield. And for the pièce de résistance, it could be a purgation or purifier squad to really bring the pain. The second reason is that most of the models we have don't fit perfectly into a rectangle hole in a piece of foam, because they have long arms reaching to smash somebody's head with an even longer weapon. Pieces always stick out and make nothing ride well together. With the other option, you have to cut out some foam to make room, and that just cuts down on how many models you can fit into a case. If you magnetize, you can pull off the protruding appendages and place them comfortably with their bodies. The third reason why I like to magnetize is its high coolness factor. When people see you building your army right there on the fly, completely customized to the opponent at hand, people notice. It's not just that you have an automatic strategic advantage, it shows you love the hobby and are willing to go to great lengths to present a well-crafted force. The factor that seems to clinch it for me, though, is the economical savings a magnetized army can provide. In many cases, one kit can be built in many variations that cover many different force organization chart slots. The Strike Squad kit can be a troop choice, a fast attack choice, an elite choice, and a heavy support choice for your army. If glued, it will be only one of these options, and to top it off, you have to choose the weapons loadout very carefully, or it's back to the store you go for another kit. With magnetizing, you buy one kit and some bits, and that's it. Since every opponent is different, you can't bog yourself down to one army option, especially with Games Workshop releasing new codexes so often there's always something new to look out for. So how do you know what magnet to get? A good magnet should be as strong as possible, but not so strong the magnet's strength is greater than the tear weight of the item you're gluing the magnet to. Magnets can be extremely strong, and if you're not careful, you can pull your model apart. With infantry, this is not so much a worry, as the size of the arms and weapons limits the size and thus the strength of the magnet. Knowing what magnet to get can be confusing, especially when seeing charts like this. Residual flux density, coercive force versus intrinsic coercive force. Who talks like this? And who wants to take a physics class to figure it all out? So let's make this simple with this chart that better suits our needs. There are a couple factors to look at. First, the larger your magnet, the stronger your magnet is. Second, the number after the N in the grade column refers to the strength of the magnet. The higher the number, the stronger the magnet. N52 is the highest grade available. For infantry, I have found the 1/32 of an inch thickness works great, as it keeps you from drilling too far into the model. Some models just don't have that much plastic to work with. For shoulders, I use the 1/8 inch diameter N52 magnet on both sides of the joint, and it gives a really good bond that holds the arm in whatever random position you choose that build. And for the wrists and weapon hands, I use the same 1/8 inch N52 magnet in the wrist of the arm. But in the hand pieces, I use a 1/16 inch diameter N52 magnet, as the pieces are generally too small to take the larger magnet. The next thing to think about before you begin is polarity. If you don't make the decision to choose a polarity, it can really make an army difficult to put together. As your army builds, you will accumulate more and more weapons that are not in use at one time. If you stick to one polarity, you can put all the excess weapons into one foam spot or in their own container and not worry about them getting mixed up. When you want to change your loadout for the next opponent, just reach into the container and pull out what you need. I learned the hard way that mismatched polarities makes building an army a hassle, as you sort through weapon after weapon, trying to find that oddly polarized weapon. So to keep the polarity consistent, you have to mark your magnets. Magnets don't come marked with positive and negative markings on each side. They are blank shiny discs that are just eager to mess you up. I use a bright orange colored paint to mark my magnets so it's easy to see which side is positive and which is negative. I need to point out, this is just a guess at which is positive and which is negative, and it really doesn't matter to us. Painted side or non-painted side, that's all we care about. Now that we have magnets sorted out, let's talk about organizing your kit for the build. There is generally a shortage of parts for all the variants that you get in one kit, even if you magnetize. So we have to carefully plan out how to get the most out of our kit and get missing bits from friends or bits placed on the web. In this kit, I needed extra shoulder pads for the heavy weapons arms. Since the heavy weapons has at least one arm completely dedicated to it and can't work with other weapons, I decided to glue all the parts together and only magnetize the shoulders. I got a pack of shoulder pads and I was good to go. I made sure to arrange all the parts in a compartmentalized container by arm pieces, as certain weapons need certain arms, but other weapons will work fine on all arms except the heavies. So now we have all our magnets either in possession or on the way, and our bits are on order. We need to get our tools ready. Besides organization, tools are the most important factor in making this project a snap. With the right tools, you can easily drill and shape the holes to ensure proper alignment and quick assembly. Tools you will need are as follows. You'll need a Ferris workspace. A good workspace with a ferrous metal plate secured to it will catch any drop magnets so they don't get lost on the floor. I have painted this one white to make things pop out on a video a little better. Otherwise, it's a simple stainless steel sheet I got at the local hardware store. If you're curious as to whether it's ferrous or not, just take a magnet with you. If it sticks, it's ferrous. You'll also need a pinning tool or hand drill. I prefer a pinning tool with a pivot point in the handle. It gives me great control and prevents a ton of unnecessary movement, providing great stability. With this, you will also need an assortment of collars for the pinning tool. They usually come with a couple, but pins are significantly smaller than magnets, so we have to find another source for larger collars. I found the Dremel tool collars work great to get me the larger size collars that fit the specialty bits we use, as well as the standard drill bit. And of course, with the hand drill, we'll also need a drill bit. Your drill bit should be the same diameter as your magnet, so you need one for each magnet size you're using. And you'll also need to make sure you have a collar for the pinning tool that fits your drill bit. Now we have a way to drill a hole. But drills don't drill flat bottom holes, they have pointy tips. It's hard to get a flat magnet to sit in the hole, and it can throw off the alignment of whatever joint you're magnetizing. What we need is a nice flat bottom hole like this. I have found only one tool that lets me get this nice flat bottom, and that's the Dremel carbide cutting bit. I love the Dremel tool. It is a great versatile tool that fills a variety of roles on craft projects. But let me be clear about something. For most applications, the actual motorized Dremel tool is just too much machine for plastic miniatures. There are some applications, but for what we're doing here, it's too fast and therefore too hard to control. But the bits, on the other hand, are great to use in a pinning tool. We do not have the speed to use the carbide cutting bit as a cutting bit, so we can't drill the actual hole with it, because it can't move the material from the center fast enough. However, we can use it to flatten out the hole we already drilled, and it's great at that. The cutter should be the same size as the drill bit and magnet you're working with. Another essential part is good lighting. The brighter the better. Some magnets are small and they can easily get lost in shadows. Try and get light coming from both sides of you for great even lighting. Also, a good hobby knife is needed to turn weapons gripped in two hands into weapons gripped in one hand, to further reduce the number of bits we need to buy. We also need a small file. To smooth out the weapons we remove the hand from so it has a nice round handle. It can also help smooth out any green stuff we may use. And the last thing we need is the paint pot we talked about when we went over polarity. It's always good to make sure you're marking magnets throughout the process, as you burn through magnets fast and the paint takes time to dry. Well, that's it for part 1 of how to magnetize infantry. If you're having trouble finding magnets, don't worry, I've put a link to a great source on the web into the description of this video. Magnets are hard to find, and not all game stores carry them. I hope you enjoy this first part, and be ready to get your hands dirty in part 2. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel to see all our great tabletop gaming videos.